we're joined by our guy, Brian Baldinger. And Baldy is brought to you by Verizon with our insider access presented by Verizon. Visit a Verizon store, switch to award-winning 5G network, and get a $200 gift card. Baldy, what is going on?
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. It's that time of the year, man. By the way, if any of you are traveling, I've just been through airports, good Lord, man. Get yourself an extra 2 hours, man. It's a zoo out there right now for everybody.
Especially in Broncos country, Baldy. We got snow out there today, man. If anyone's traveling, it would be a nightmare today. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Baldy. And the Broncos, just make Broncos country, they give more reasons to make them thankful for this team. And where I want to start is this Raiders game, Baldy. The Broncos struggled in the first half, and what really opened the door for them was a Brandon Jones interception and then a connection with Bo Nix and Courtland Sutton in the third quarter. Courtland Sutton goes for almost 80 receiving yards. And I just want to ask you, how important is Courtland Sutton to Bo Nix? In the past 5 weeks, Courtland leads the NFL in receiving yards. And just how crucial is it for Bo and a rookie quarterback to have such a big piece like Courtland?
You know, when I was watching the game and I was watching the timing that now exists between Bo and Courtland, these comebacks, these are 18-yard comebacks. It's precision, and the ball is right where it needs to be, low and away from the corner or the safety, whatever it is. I couldn't stop thinking about the connection Drew Brees had with Michael Thomas. And Michael Thomas's Twitter handle was "Can't Guard Mike." And I felt like there was this period of 3 or 4 years when you couldn't guard Mike because he was always open because of the location of the ball. And when I was watching it Sunday or breaking it down this week, I felt like that's the connection that it looks like between Bo and Courtland right now. Remember, it wasn't that long ago. Bo couldn't get the ball to Courtland. He couldn't get the ball to a wide receiver to start this season. And now you look at this precision and the timing and the touchdown last week, which is a perfect drop in a bucket in the end zone. And you go, it looks to be as strong as any connection of any quarterback receiver right now that exists in the NFL.
I'm curious what you think of the rest of that room, too, because it's nice to have Courtland there as kind of the safety blanket, but now Devon Bailey's looking like he could be a number two, maybe not the flashiest receiver, but he's doing enough. Get Josh Reynolds back, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims kind of has a new role. Do you think that group is in a good enough space for a rookie quarterback at this point, or that they need to go in the offseason looking for more?
No, I like the development. I really do. You got two rookies out there, Devon and Troy. And obviously, both of them have had a big game last week against pretty good coverage, pretty good defense of the Raiders. I like the development. And honestly, I think as we continue to sort of watch this development of Bo, he's going to make these receivers. It's about his touch, how he sees the field, ball location. You're seeing all of that right now. It's really remarkable to see the development of the quarterback and then the receivers around the quarterback. But I don't think they need to go out there and chase and throw big money at receivers right now. And there's going to be a draft where more of these guys are going to come out. And honestly, if I'm building a football team from scratch and I'm starting with my Hall of Fame coach and rookie quarterback, honestly, the last position I'm trying to fill is receivers. Give me a strong trenches, give me good corners, and I'll go. Receivers will be made by a good offensive line, a good running game, and an accurate quarterback.
Baldy, you talked about them building this team, and I think they're doing a good job with the receivers they have right now. And Sean usually likes a good tight end. They just let go of Greg Dulcich. Were you surprised by that move, and do you think that they'll find another tight end to kind of replace him as a pass catcher?
Yeah, they've got that rookie. He's not a rookie. He was with him in New Orleans. I forget his name right now.
Troutman.
But Kroll, right? Yeah. Lucas Kroll. I don't know. He looks like a target to me. Dulcich he was never a good blocker. All right, and I think you've got to be able to block to stay on the field in a lot of their wide packages. So I don't know. He seemed expendable the way that they're throwing the ball, mostly out of 11 personnel right now. But if they want to go to Atkins and their fullback packages and stuff, I think they've got guys that can fill that role. And the receivers are coming on. So to have Dulcich is kind of like a slot receiver, he wasn't good enough, I think, at this point.
Baldy, speaking of guys that have been good enough, Zach Allen and Riley Moss, both of them, Zach didn't play in this past game due to an injury, and Riley Moss got injured during the game. Good thing is, Sean said after the game, neither are significant injuries, but we don't know if they're going to miss time and how much time. If those guys do miss time, how much does that hurt this Broncos defense, which has been playing elite?
Well, what did I say? Did I see Levi Wallace out there last week?
Yep.
Like he came in. I mean, he's got a lot of experience. Levi's traveled in sleep, but he knows how to play the game. You're going to put, Patrick wants to match up right now with whatever number one you have, wherever that is, against Cleveland. I'm not so sure like what that person is right now on their receiving core, but like that's what he's going to take that guy out. So I feel like if they have to play another week, for whatever reason, if Riley can't go, who's playing great football right now, I feel like you're in decent hands with the depth that they have at that position.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious about the offensive line too. Garrett Bowles, his contract's up at the end of the year, and it's looking like he could be pretty expensive just because the offensive line as a whole is playing so well. It's kind of tough to take a piece away from that. But there are a couple options out there in free agency too, with Ronnie Stanley being the one that I'm really interested in. I'm curious what you think of him at this point. In theory, like if the Broncos have to decide between $20 million a year for Garrett Bowles or $25 million for Ronnie Stanley, is it worth to just pay for the kind of the name brand guy?
I mean, I know Ronnie Stanley since he came out of Notre Dame. I wouldn't touch him. I mean, the injuries he sustained now. I mean, he's been healthy this year, and God bless him. But he's had so many injuries, been off the field, and major injuries. Like I wouldn't touch that right now. I mean, if you want to catch an offensive tackle, I would be more. If you think that Garrett Bowles is too expensive, like I would look at a guy like Fred Johnson, who backed up in Philadelphia this year, filled in for Jordan Mailata. He is a massive guy at 6'7", 340 pounds, but he played really well. He's been well coached by Jeff Stoutland. Like I'd go that free agent route before I would put money into Ronnie Stanley at this point. But I honestly, Garrett Bowles is playing good football. He's been healthy. It's the first time maybe for a little stretch last year, the Broncos were turning the corner. I think they had won 5 in a row. He's never experienced winning. I think he wants to be here. Everybody can feel this thing turning around in the right direction right now. I don't think he wants to go anywhere. I think he'd love to see an offer from the Broncos.
Baldy, I think this offensive line is doing a great job right now protecting the quarterback and not letting the pass rushers get home. What can they do to improve in, the rushing attack, or do they need to? Can they kind of have a formula that works for them, and if it's not broke, don't fix it?
Just keep playing. Just keep playing right now. I mean, they're playing around with all the running back combinations. You saw last week where they started Jaleel back there, at tailback, but they're rotating everybody in there. Like I think they're just trying to find various combinations and who can get hot. It's still a work in progress. The run game, it's still not where it needs to be. But I think as the passing game kind of opens up, it might open up the run game here a little bit. Cleveland's pretty good against the run. They were going to play a ton of man coverage. The quarterback's probably going to have to hold it a little longer. Every time you saw what Myles did in the last game that he played in, he's now at 10 sacks. He wants to be a repeat defensive player of the year. You're going to get the best of Myles right now. I would say that this is a big test for this, not just Garrett and not just the offense line, but really what Sean does and how they figure out a way to protect against that beast, because he can line up at left tackle, right tackle. I see him line up over the center. He's going to go where he feels like he can win. But this is a pretty good test. They got some stout guys up front. Dalvin Tomlinson. It's a pretty good test for this offense line this week.
Baldy, you're starting to dive into the Browns, and I want to take a bigger look at the Browns right now. How dangerous are they? Because they're 3-8. The record says they're not dangerous, but they've beat the Ravens and the Steelers in the past month. How concerned should the Broncos be about facing these Browns on Monday Night Football?
Well, they look like a totally different team with Jameis. Now, he took care of the football for the most part against the Steelers in the snow game. but the week before, he threw 3 interceptions. But so, when they played well and they've beaten, like you said, you go and you beat Baltimore and you beat Pittsburgh. I mean, they're the two of the best teams in the AFC right now. You have to take them serious. And Jameis is throwing. He's thrown for 400 yards in the game. The tight end is very, very good. He's very underrated. But Njoku can beat you badly. But then you also got Nick Chubb, who I think is only kind of building up steam. And he's a guy, one of the few backs in this league that can take it the distance if you give him a runway. So I think it's a dangerous team. Don't look at the record. They're coming off. They've got 10 days of rest. They're coming off their biggest win of the year. I think that this is a team that if you for 1 second overlook them and what their record is, they're going to beat you.
What do you think of how Jerry Jeudy's playing with the Browns?
Oh, he's unbelievable. Like, honestly, like what he did last week to Pittsburgh was incredible. And Jameis seems to love him. He's winning one-on-ones. They're finding route combinations, get him open in the middle of the field. He's been excellent after the catch. Like, he's had a complete rejuvenation. And really, it's just with Jameis. Because it didn't happen, with Deshaun at all. Like, he looked like, for a long time, like he did in Denver. He looked like he was just, an overrated wide receiver. But he has come alive this last month with Jameis Winston. And he looks like that guy that was worthy of a number 1 pick out of Alabama.
Baldy, last one for me. With Thanksgiving right around the corner, I got to ask you. My man Zach here doesn't like Thanksgiving. He doesn't like the food. Do you have a favorite Thanksgiving dish, and what is it? I know. It's crazy.
It's so bad.
Well, first of all, forget it. Like, it's my favorite holiday of the year. Because honestly, if you just want to be a lazy bum and just watch football, you have every right to do it. Like, nobody can tell you to do anything else. They can't get you off the couch. It's literally every house I go to, every Thanksgiving I've hosted, there's way too much food. And if you want to start your meal with just 3 slices of pumpkin pie, you're allowed to do it. Like, I just don't get anybody that isn't into Thanksgiving. It's my favorite meal of the year, my favorite holiday of the year. I got to work the first 2 games, but I'm off after the second game tomorrow. I'm just going to have a feast. So you can drink too much, you can eat too much, you can sleep too much, and nobody can say a word about it.
Okay, Baldy. You make a good argument. I like everything, but the food is just like, the only food you talked about was pumpkin pie. If we're going straight to dessert, that must mean something about the meal, right?
No, because there's more side dishes that have been invented for just Thanksgiving. Like, who makes, things with melted marshmallows in it? Who makes, cream string beans or cream corn or like stuffing in the bird? It's just a perfect dish. And with homemade gravy, like the cranberry sauce. You want to take cranberries out of a can or make your own cranberries. Like, there's a million side dishes that there's something for everyone just in that.
So then, Baldy, my last one for you. Why don't we eat this meal more than once a year if it's so good?
Well, I do. Because there's so much other good food in this world. You can eat ribs every single day, and you can, eat ribs on a Tuesday and lick your fingers on Wednesday and be just fine. So, there's just so much other good food. But anybody that just limits the Thanksgiving Day meal to 1 day a year is making a mistake. Because there's, like, these deep fryers for these turkeys. Like, I want my turkey fried. And then if you stuff it with some, jalapenos in there with your stuffing, like, you just add some caliente and sauce to it. Like, it never really should end.
Okay, Baldy, you might have sold me with throwing some jalapenos in the turkey, in the fryer. Thank you for your insight. Love the food insight, Thanksgiving insight, football insight. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and enjoy your Thanksgiving night since you're going to be working the first 2 games.
Yep. Thanks, guys. I do the same. Let's meet next week, and hopefully the Broncos are marching on here.
Man, I love it. Thank you, Baldy. Happy Thanksgiving. Man, love Baldy's insight.